understanding, first-hand understanding of the situation, putting the person at ease about the situation, and then being able to give some insight as to the problem that exists. I think would make that person more of a open and more relaxed person who would want to communicate. Um,
Do you think?
Creating an go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you think it would be best for a counselor like me to, if issues of race were coming up, to just be open about it and say, obviously I'm not black and I haven't grown up in the same culture as you, but I'd like to understand.
And I think that would be that's what I mean by being understanding is putting a person at ease, making them aware of, hey, look, I know I haven't experienced, what you're going through, but I empathize with
Yeah.
what you're going through. And having empathy, I think, would be a real barrier breaker because it would make that person feel like, okay, here's someone that really understands what it is I'm saying, and this person is white, or they don't, associate or could easily identify with what it is, but yet they have empathy with
Yeah.
my situation, and I know I'm going to be heard, and I know that after the end of this conversation, I will feel a lot better about having talked to this person. So I think that yeah, showing some empathy towards the situation will definitely help break down a lot of barriers.
Cool. I guess we can go back to the culture because I didn't film that and I think I still have time left. Can you describe the most important values and beliefs of your culture? And we can talk about the spirituality again as well.
Yeah, probably the most important values and belief are God, first, family second, so to speak, and then people third, if you will. I mean, I think
people as in
people
just in general outside the family.
Outside your family structure.
Okay.
Just the caring about the world itself. So I think that would be thing, and most families base their upbringing on the religious beliefs. So most black families are very, very religiously endowed. I mean, everything comes and starts in the church. You get all your upbringing and the way of life, the way you're supposed to live through how the church is in your community. Um, as I said to you, the black female has been considered, the rock or the strong point of every family structure. The male is there, his role in the family structure of the black family is to be the provider and the disciplinarian. So I think that's the way it is, and there's a lot of loving and caring within the black family. A lot of affection, being shown in the black family. So and the communication as well. There's a lot of communication that goes on. I know a lot of people don't think it does within a black family, but there's a lot of communication that goes on within a black family.
And you just now touched on perceptions. People don't think that there's a lot of communication that happens. Can you describe maybe some perceptions of black men? When that's said, what do you think people think of? Like, what are the perceptions of black men in American society?
A lot of perceptions of black men are that they're lazy, they can't hold a job, or that they have a lot of babies, and they're not very family oriented, that sort of thing. And you get the basic stereotypes that a lot of them are into drugs and rap music and that sort of thing, which is, it's a stereotype, of, the black man, and they always are in trouble or have felonies or that sort of thing. So, that's the basic stereotype across the board, about the black man.
That's pretty unfortunate.
Well, I mean, some of it's true, some of it's founded, Sarah, and some of it's not. I think if you look across every culture, you'll find within every culture that there are people, not necessarily men, who do the exact same thing. It's just that it's not classed as a particular race. It's can be classed as a particular person, or that person's real lazy, whether they're white, black, what have you. You know, you're classed as a lazy person, or that person doesn't work. You know, whether you're black, white, or what have you. But typically, you know, the typical black male is looked at as being the black male who can't hold a job, who doesn't have a family or anything like that, or you know, just not career minded, so to speak. You know, sure, you might have a job, but you don't have a career. You know, or you may have an apartment, but you don't have a house. You know, that sort of thing. Whereas you know, you're living from paycheck to paycheck, just barely making it. You don't have plans or anything like that. And you know, as I said to you, some of it's founded because some people do live like that. And you know, but you have a lot of black men who are very successful, a lot of black men who are single, you know, who are exclusive to their families, a lot of black men who are raising families. You know, you have a lot of black men who actually are single parents who are raising kids on their own. So I mean, you know, you have the spectrum from A to B. You know, I don't think it's anywhere where you can say, okay, all black men fit this category. I think if you had a spectrum, you'd find that the black men are up and down the entire spectrum. And if you put white men in the same spectrum, you'd find white men were up and down the spectrum as well. And same with you know, Hispanic or whatever culture that you were dealing with. I think it's a people thing more than a race thing.
Is there anything else that I mean, we've touched on a lot of subjects, but is there anything else that we should know about black men that when counseling them, we should keep in mind to be successful in working to help black men, you know, understand their problems, help them solve their own problems?
Yeah, I think a lot of black men in the situations where they're being counseled or being helped feel as though, one, people are prying into their personal life. Two, that the way that they're being questioned or interviewed is like a police interrogation.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not like what we're having a one-to-one conversation where you feel so relaxed and comfortable to say whatever. You know, I think if they're put in a setting like that where they feel very comfortable and relaxed with whatever they say, they know that they have confidentiality, then, you know, I think that will you know, be something that would help out. But those two things, I think, really.
So then, and we already talked about it, but just creating that comfortable environment
Very
first,
much so.
spending maybe a couple sessions doing that first, and then getting into the nitty
And then
gritty.
getting into the nitty gritty of the problem, you know, I think it's establishing a relationship, if you will, a trusting relationship, because black men are very regarded.
Yeah.
Regardless of what, you know, black man to black man is fine. Black man to white man, black man to white woman.
What about black man to black woman?
Black man
still
to
guarded?
Still somewhat guarded.
Okay.
Yes, still somewhat guarded. But you know, maybe there is a little bit more of a trusting factor there, but it takes something, you know, some sort of interaction for the trust to be developed there. And whereas if it was black man to white woman, black man to white man, you know, I think the most difficult is black man to white man. That's where there's a huge barrier. There's a trust factor. Black man to white woman, a little bit more easier situation because.
And what was that trust factor between black men and white men?
Because you know, black men have this thing about the white man that the man, so to speak, quote unquote, is a person that's been holding me back, been holding me down, or the man is a person that's pointing the finger at me, or the man is a person who's stereotyping every black man. So that's the problem that I think a black man has with a white man is that white man represents to a black man, you're the man, you represent the establishment who's always been oppressing me, so to speak. Not necessarily the white female, but definitely the white male.
So it'd be easier then to speak to a white or a Hispanic female versus a white male counselor.
Yes, it would.
So it's even harder. I mean, say it was the only counselor available. It'd be even harder for that white male to build rapport and build a relationship.
It's going to take him some work.
Yeah.
He's really going to have to establish some trust. he's really going to have to make a make trust an issue early on and gain that person's trust before he has success with the counseling part of it. Because, you know, as I said to you before, black men by nature are just guarded.
Yeah.
You know, that's just through the process of oppression has made, you know, a black person very, very guarded about who they are, who they let close to them, or who they let on their inner thoughts and inner feelings. And that's what counseling is all about, what's inside of you, so to speak. And most black men are very reluctant to let that out. If you say to a black man, okay, I think you need to get some counseling, the first thing they'll say is, you need counseling. You know, you don't tell me I need counseling.
Yeah.
So they're going to reject it right off the bat because they look at counseling as something, as a weakness.
Yeah.
You know, if I need counseling, that's for weak people. You know, I'm stronger than that. I don't need counseling. Whereas if they really understood that counseling was just a conversation about your feelings or about a situation, and at the end of that conversation or that consultation, you should walk away with a better feeling than what you had initially. So, you know, it's getting that understanding too.
Yeah.
I think is something that would help.
So then when reaching out, say for example in a college setting, and we're trying to reach out, because really in a college setting, and this is just one example, but retention of black males is very low. We don't retain black males from beginning to end, and we find that they drop out a lot. And that's from a variety of factors, but we feel that in it would be so beneficial to have them come to counseling. So what are some strategies that you feel we could use to reach out to black men?
I think offering as many options to them, you know, for not dropping out. If you can get to know, it's a difficult situation because you won't know a person's ready to drop out until they're almost about to drop out. So that's the most difficult part. But I think, you know, having some type of program in place that allows a black person or a black man to come and on a regular basis conversate about where they are in their life, as far as, okay, where are you at this point in your life with your school, with your personal life, with that.
Yeah.
If you can establish that at an early age or at entry level of college, and then keep up with that, you know, track that, so to speak. You know, okay, we spoke to you 2 months ago and you were here. Now we're 4 months down the track. Where are you now? Have you made any progress? Have you changed? Okay, we'll see you in 4 months' time and we'll talk about the same thing. And just, you know, it's more, it would seem more like babysitting or tracking a person's progress, so to speak, but I think it would be a helpful tool because, as I said, a lot of black men keep things bottled up inside. They're very reluctant to go and seek out help, but they will talk to their black friend all day long about their problems, you know, all day long, but they won't talk to anyone else who can help them, you know, and it's only through that talking to their black friend, and their black friend may be saying, man, you need to go get some help, or you need to go and see so-and-so who's more qualified, that they sit there and say, okay, well, maybe you're right, or yeah, okay, I might take your advice.
Okay.
So it usually comes from an outside source or another person that they trust who is encouraging them to go. But I think, you know, being able to touch bases early on with a student and following up with that student on a regular basis to make sure that you know, you're tracking their progress in their personal life, in their school life, then I think that would be a useful tool.